We're back. I think we're back. Hooray.
Hello and welcome to Nothing Cast. I've replaced the Duff Brothers.
Never.
The ratings have gone from 1 to 0.
Wow. Thomas will still listen to me.
Doesn't he have to listen to you all the time anyways?
Yeah. So your one listener is still listening.
Like, I think he'd be sick of you by now.
I thought so too. Honestly, I was like, oh, you're still here? Cool. I guess that's good. Yeah, we just celebrated we just missed our year and a half.
You missed?
We missed it.
Did you both of you forget?
Yeah.
That's cute.
Literally.
That's good. That's good though. That means that shows compatibility. I think.
Oh my god. Because our one year
I think that's my goal.
is to just miss anniversaries for years and years to come.
Both completely forget.
I forgot about our anniversary. Oh, I forgot about it too.
Yeah, it was bad. Because our 1 year was my first day working at a garage. And then, so I worked and we didn't celebrate it. But I was like, no, don't worry. We'll just celebrate a year and a half. Like, we'll just do something then.
Right.
And then my manager was like, hey, your 6 months here was yesterday.
Right.
And I was like, damn it! I don't even think I brought it up to Tom when I missed it. Wow, look how loud my little voice thing is right there.
You know, those blue lines got real big. Remember when we were going to talk about Rogue One?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Rogue One, a Rogue One story. What you think, Katie?
Oh my god.
Apparently Katie hated it.
Okay.
I hated it enough to watch it 3 times, which means I didn't hate it.
Why don't you tell me why you liked it, and then I'll tell you why your reason is stupid.
Okay. Why? I'll tell you the best thing about the movie, which is that.
If it's one scene, I don't want to hear it.
Okay, well, it's a very important scene.
Oh, go ahead.
Because it's.
Is it Darth Vader at the very end?
No. It's something that happens like about 40 minutes in, okay?
Is it Mads? It's
Mads. It is Mads. Because I want to be real with you for a second.
I heart Mads.
There's something. So Star Wars from 1977 is now a perfect film because of Rogue One.
Yes.
There are no plot flaws with it. Because of something that has been made fun of for 39 years was finally explained in the greatest way possible with so much heart and I was literally crying
when he was doing that.
When he was having his whole speech yo, I put the thing on the Death Star, you see all the bad guys and they're like, yeah, we're the best, and and you see the Death Star on the horizon of the thing, and it's beautiful. That scene is so beautiful. The song is playing is so beautiful, and I just the thing, because the thing was that before Rogue One came out, it's this movie really isn't necessary per se, but it's cool that it's real, right? It's cool that we're getting this. But then when I watched the movie, it convinced me that it was necessary.
I felt like that too for a while, and then I was well, at least they explained that.
Right.
Yeah.
And at least they explained why it happened twice. Because it had to be really inlaid in the design for it to happen twice.
Yeah.
Well, I always figured the second time because it's not being built yet, and you see how it's not finished yet. So
they drove directly into it. One guy shoots a torpedo there, other guy shoots torpedoes there.
It feels like it's full of holes, right? So I think they just flew into one of the holes because they hadn't finished construction yet.
Yeah.
They flew right to the middle of.
Yeah, I think there's one hole that just went all the way down to the middle because it wasn't done yet.
I watched one critique, the one I sent you.
Right, I saw some of that.
Did you watch it?
I saw
the whole thing. Actually, she and I had the same mindset going in and out of that movie. So everything she had to say just brought words to how I was feeling, I guess. But she was I was kind of just content to feel like somebody forgot to put a exhaust pipe. I was always kind of content just to be whoopsie.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I don't
know.
But
it's been made fun of for so long.
Yeah.
I know.
And it's so brilliant.
For me, I was okay, cool. But then she did this other thing, and she's okay. So he doesn't know if his daughter's dead or alive.
Right.
But she's either dead or she's so deep in hiding that he's never gonna find her. But he starts off his message by being Stardust, and it's to your knowledge, she's dead. Just dead. And all these people watching are who's Stardust? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on?
Right.
And she's like in this scenario, she's
Well-
like, I know getting the plans would be super
No,
hard,
because
and
she
it would
says-
mean a lot of people would probably die. So here's
Stardust
my
is the file
crudely
name.
drawn diagram.
Stardust is the file name of the Death Star
Yeah, it
plans.
So, yeah,
So-
that's true. That was also
So that could just be like, so they read like Stardust.
But wait a
what
minute.
the fuck does that mean? Then they go to the
That would
place.
have helped.
They get to the Citadel Tower. There's like Stardust. Oh, I remember him saying something like that. So I mean,
Yeah.
that might not have helped though. Still, because let's say because he sent it to Forrest Whitaker, right?
yeah.
So like let's say Forrest Whitaker gave it to the rebels because like he didn't know where she was, and then they're like, okay, well let's try to get these plans, and then they're like, and then they're just looking through the files and they have no idea. So what to look for?
Yeah.
Because
It's
like
just like-
it's true
It's,
that it needed to be her, and like that's tricky, yeah.
and it's just, yeah. And
yeah.
like, there's a moment,
So-
like, it got brought to my attention that, like, just like the end of her video, like, as a joke, she's like, in case it's not my daughter watching this, I'll explain my Death Star thing, and then you could go get the plans, but that might mean a lot of people are gonna die.
right.
So here's my crudely drawn diagram. Just try to follow this. I'll actually explain to you the physical aspects of doing it as well.
Right.
And then he's like, and now that we've done this, I'm going to leave a message for my daughter. It's just like, oh, man.
Yeah, that's true. It probably would have been a shorter movie.
Yeah, from a
if he just
pragmatic point.
sent them the
I
plan
guess he's
in
not
that
like,
message.
but there's just so much heart. So much heart.
There is so much
The
heart.
Mads.
There's, like, the movie makes itself redundant
Mhm.
in some points. Like, the only thing I love about that movie is they answered that question.
Yeah, that's true.
Because but that wasn't because it was necessary to have that question answered.
No, it was
It was
just like
because I like that I can justify it in
Right.
my own heart now.
Mhm.
But it didn't need that question answered. Like, you can.
no, but the movie also didn't need to exist at all.
No, it didn't. Like, and it didn't make itself relevant, except for that one part where, in my part, it was worth it. But
Right.
like, from like an investor's point of view, it's like, what else did we get from this?
Yeah,
We didn't really world build. Like, we didn't get much Star Wars world building.
we got a
Only-
couple
No, we did.
plans.
Only thing
We got to see a dirty side of the rebellion.
We
We
got,
got-
we got.
not really.
Yeah. The guy's like, oh, my arm's broken. I can't climb out this thing. Hey, it's gonna be fine. Bam, dead.
Don't start with me about that. Don't. Ugh. Okay, so that was like definitely Han shot first. Ooh, the rebellion's like they play dirty. Blah 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 blah. But
Right.
then he does one morally wrong thing the whole movie, and doesn't do another morally wrong thing the rest of the
He
movie.
tries to
Yeah, he
kill
does.
the
He
guy.
kills.
No, he looks at killing Mads.
He kills some of the people who worked for Forrest Whitaker in that one battle in that one city.
Because it was a battle.
Yeah, but they were on his side.
They were
gonna
rebels.
like shoot Jen or something. I don't remember.
Well, yeah, he suddenly.
I don't actually remember why he
See,
did that.
his plot was literally like, ooh, he's like morally gray and he's kind of dangerous, like kind of Han Solo.
No,
Ooh,
his
I
thing was
like
that
him.
he was followed. He was
Let's
kind of
see.
like it was almost like Nazi-esque, where he's just like yo, I
Yeah,
follow orders for the rebellion because that's what we do, you
I'm
know.
sorry, where have I seen that? Last year? Oh, Finn, right.
No, it wasn't about rebelling though. That's like he was rebelling against
Oh,
the
really? He
rebellion.
was working at the rebellion, not to rebel? He wasn't rebelling?
No, it wasn't about rebelling against the
This is the
rebellion. It
rebellion.
wasn't about rebelling against the.
I
It wasn't about
rebel.
rebelling against the rebellion. That's the thing, is that he was more like his thing was all about like, yo, I take up the cause,
Take
no
up
matter
the
how
cause.
hard the tough decisions we got to make. You know, it's just.
It didn't look hard when he shot
Yeah.
that guy in the back for no good reason. But then, like, I feel like we just caught him on an off day. Like, the rest of the movie is like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
just like,
that's true.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
just like it was just a shitty day for the
Yeah, like,
for
it's-
his rebellion.
like he starts off and you're like, ooh, he's
Mission.
dangerous, and like he makes bad decisions.
Oh,
and he's,
Cassian,
like,
you're so bad.
he's a little evil, and then you're like, no, maybe he was just like really grumpy, like didn't get enough sleep, because like it seems like he's really nice, and now he really cares about Jin, and like
Yeah.
he's willing to kill other people for Jin,
Right.
and like I'm just recycling her points because I really agree with them.
No, that's fair. No, she made some good points.
She did, and they talk about like, she's like, I don't know why they made it look like Jin had to hear her dad talk to like want to fight for the rebellion because they go out of their way to show her saving a baby.
Right.
And it's like, so we know she's willing to sacrifice herself for others, but it takes her dad to make her sacrifice herself for others.
No, see. That's a missed opportunity in that scene. I feel like she's saving the baby because the baby has nothing to do with this war, right? It's just a caught in the crossfire, and like that's like she's like, why should I have to fight in? Why should there even like be? She's more like it's more like why should I care about this war? Like people are getting killed for the stupid reasons and stuff, and I think that's
for sure.
What she was. It was more like a personal thing. Like why should I care about your cause or whatever when innocent people are getting killed?
Yeah, now it's like, oh, it's my dad's cause.
Now it's her dad's cause.
Like, I feel like at the beginning of that movie, I hope he's dead. Like, I hope my dad's dead.
Right.
And then she like hears from him, and suddenly she's like, no, he's good. I swear, I know it. And it's like,
well, it's because it's like your
dad, but it's like
your dad works for the bad guys. It's like, oh, what a dick, right? It's like I hope he's scum. I hope he's dead. And he's like, by the way, I'm the best person ever.
Yeah, and then she's like, but it's like, I don't know. There was like when Luke is talking about Darth Vader, and he's like, "There's good in him. I know it."
Yeah.
There's something instinctual and soulful and believable about that. Like you're just watching.
I watched the prequels.
This guy's the most evil thing ever, but Luke says there's good in him, so there must be. Like I believe it because he's saying it. She's like, I hope he's dead, and then she's like, wait, he's good. And you're like, is he your abusive boyfriend? Like, what is going on? Like, make up your mind about this guy. So, I don't know. And Forrest Whitaker. What a fucking disappointment.
Yeah, he's like, I'm here. Oh, I'm dead now.
Saves the dream. What a powerful moment for that character. Wait, he says all of his lines like that.
Yeah. Super weird.
That's like someone quoting me being like, rebellion, save the dream. Why is this happening?
Everyone's favorite scene in the Star Wars movie, because what we were missing from Star Wars was tentacle porn fetish.
Alright, there comes another thing that pissed me off that seemed to piss off nobody else. Alright, Nostalgia Critic, I watched his, and he was pissed that tentacle thing was in it. Mm-hmm. I'm pissed.
Yeah.
Because he went, oh, some people tend to lose their minds.
Right.
And then he did the thing on him, and then he's sitting in the cell, and Bodhi, is that his name?
Yeah, that's his name. Yeah.
Bodhi's all like, bleh. And then they're like, Pilot, and he's like, oh, that's me, I'm good. And I'm like, I spent the whole movie being like, oh, he's gonna lose his mind now while they're flying, and then they're gonna crash. Oh, he's gonna lose his mind now while they're running, and it's gonna, no, literally, Pilot was said, and he's like, I'm good, I'm solid. Right. I waited, because they planted that seed, and I was like, are you gonna lose your mind now? His mind's lost. He can't remember where the plans are. No,
is he gonna lose his mind as this grenade is thrown into the shuttle with him?
And like, yeah.
Well, that's why I feel like most people are like, that scene probably could have been cut because it didn't end up meaning anything, right?
No, it didn't mean shit. And I'm like, why would you plant that?
Yeah,
and I honestly,
it's exactly how it would be there.
Yeah, like you want to see it, and it could have been really cool.
Well, yeah, it could have been something. It wasn't anything.
No, and it could have made it cool. Like you could.
Do you think all the other cuts of the movie, it was?
It's possible because they did do a lot of reshooting for this.
Yeah, like, and you could tell.
You could tell at some parts.
Yeah, because it was like.
Especially if you like paid attention to the trailer.
Like the one trailer where they're running on the beach and she's got the plans and there's AT-ATs. It's like, how does this even happen?
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Visually though.
Pretty great.
For all.
The Death Stars look bigger than it's ever looked before.
For all the shit that movie put me through. Honestly, I think I got my money's worth seeing that AT-AT stomp up on the beach.
Yeah.
And then get shot in the face and then just like come back. I was like, yeah!
Yeah.
It was enough.
That whole end battle sequence is pretty amazing.
It's pretty stellar.
It's
so like the part when the one Star Destroyer crashes into the other Star Destroyer and then it's falling like vertically and crashes through the Spaceballs shield generator.
It's so good. So like visually, it was
Stuff like that
beautiful.
is
Like it was a
kind of
gorgeous
great.
movie, and it had a great color palette.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that was really.
I love that one shot. This is probably one of my favorite moments in the whole movie. Is when there's so they've just been so Jin and Cassian have just been consumed by the explosion from the Death Star, and you just see it from the planet, and it's just panning away from what the explosion looks like from the outside of the planet, and then I'm like, oh, okay, the movie's over, right? And then it's nope, it keeps going, and you see some rebel guys that are freaking out and stuff. Okay, we got the thing, we gotta download the thing. Okay, we got the thing now. And it's I'm just oh wait, this is actually really intense. I want to see where this is going. And then there's the Darth Vader scene, right? And then
which was legendary,
which is amazing.
Beautiful.
And then of course they're in the blockade runner and they go, and I'm just this is the greatest movie ever, kind of thing.
But for real, why did it take that guy so long to grab the goddamn plans?
Yeah.
I think that was a good 30 seconds of one man desperately screaming, "Take it!"
Yeah. Well, first he's open the door. Then when Darth Vader comes, he's take it,
But
just
he's
go.
got his arm through the whole time.
Yeah.
Just his arm with the plans, and this guy's like, "What? Sorry, wait, sorry, I missed what you said. I'm gonna stand here while you clarify what you meant. Do you want me to take them? Take them? Or leave? Take them?" And oh my god.
Well,
and
first he says open the door.
Yeah,
he just wants
for
them
sure.
to open the door, right?
Open the door.
Then I guess maybe as soon as possible. Right?
Darth Vader literally just squished a guy and then threw him on the ceiling.
And then cut him in half while he was there.
Caught lasers with his hand. Holy shit, that guy's cool.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, but I have problems with Darth Vader in this movie too.
Right.
I've
The
seen
other scene.
What? Because he makes dad jokes.
I almost left. I was like, you did not just try to make Darth Vader punny. I will fucking end you. I got
Gareth!
I got violently angry at that. But the thing I actually got most angry at was the shot of him in the tank.
Oh yeah, right.
I was furious at that. Yeah, because the visibility. All right, prequels. If we're talking the prequels didn't happen.
Okay, yeah.
The visibility of Darth Vader, his humanity, is shown through the visibility of his flesh.
Right.
Yeah.
A New Hope, we see nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's only Darth Vader.
Right.
Empire, we see the back of his head.
Jedi,
we see his full face.
Diagrams.
Unless
you're not watching it on the
and that's his humanity. That's his softness. That's the good in him, and it's represented in how much of him we actually see. Past the robot into him.
Right.
He becomes a man.
Right.
And he's so intimidating when you first see him.
Mm-hmm.
And I every time I see a prequel, I want to be able to say, I'm going to show this to my kids in order. To be able to say, it's still safe to show them this in order would be so amazing.
Yeah.
And that was what I was hoping for Rogue One. I was I want Rogue One and then the rest.
Yeah.
Because if it answers that question,
Right.
then they won't have that question later, right? It'll do a little bit of oh, why doesn't Luke just put it in the hole? Oh, wow, weird. Never mind. Not with Leia, with the Death Star. But yeah.
No one here was thinking Leia.
No one here was thinking Leia.
I didn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah.
To be honest, and then you mentioned too.
Shoot the
photon torpedo.
The photon torpedo.
He bends a projectile 90 degrees.
Yeah, he does because he has the fucking force. Okay, that's why nobody else can do it.
The force. Come on.
Come on.
I know.
But
I know.
The visibility of Darth Vader is represented in parallel to his humanity.
Right.
Yeah.
And them showing him his flesh, showing his human form, B, showing him vulnerable. We never see him vulnerable, ever.
And not till the end.
Not till the end when he's literally burning. Like, even as he's dying, he's barely, like, you're like, oh my god, what is this? This big, scary, menacing figure is now vulnerable? What the hell?
And instead, and then the like the famous breathing, it turns into a
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he really deteriorates, and you see what Luke has been seeing the whole time, right? And it's such a powerful thing. And that one tiny clip took it all away. Because, like I always think, like, what would my kids be asking me if this is the order they watched it in? Because it was such a big thing for me when I was little. And, like, if I had my kid look up at me and be like, why don't they just kill him while he's sleeping in the tank? Because that would be my first question as a kid. It's like, if there's a spot to go get him, it's while he's sleeping in there. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, Darth Vader sleeps with his eyes open. And he doesn't sleep, actually. He just stands there and tries to kill people. Like, that's what I thought of him after New Hope.
And the galaxy sleeps. Darth Vader ain't sleeping.
Yeah. So that was like...
I think the rebels sleep. Rebels don't sleep.
I think anyone sleeps in Star Wars.
No. I was
they don't show them. They show him go to sleep once and then he dies.
And he dies.
Maybe that's
that's
what happens when
maybe
anyone
people don't
sleeps
need
ever.
sleep in
They
Star
just die.
No, maybe they don't. See, but I was pissed. That was like a big... I don't think they should have shown Darth Vader.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of the tank. But yeah, I
like the lava castle.
I liked his evil lava castle. I mean,
like that was cool.
It's like Mordor almost.
Yeah.
But more so for me, it reminded me more of just like the prequels, and I kind of wish to take a farther step away from it because, like,
for sure.
I liked that like in Force Awakens, like they don't mention the prequels like at all, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And
except for the clones, but I mean that works with the Clone
Wars.
Wars.
They briefly mention clones.
But they talk about the Clone Wars is mentioned in the first Star Wars movie.
It's like
yeah,
and that's a very small moment in Force Awakens. So it's
it's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. I think they did like appropriate nods though. Like I liked that. I want to call him Nero because it's Sons of Anarchy for me. Organa, Senator Organa.
Oh yeah.
Was in it briefly when he was just there, and I was like, "Hey, good moment," because Bail Organa is such a huge part of the rebellion, and so you're like, it makes sense that his dad is like a leading part of it, especially that he's a senator, and then that brings in like a little bit of the politics, but you know he was an ally of the Jedi, and like so he was just there, he was just brief, and I was like, hey, I like that.
Yeah,
you weren't overbearing. It wasn't like Anakin all over the place, but it was there. Actually, did you guys watch the Nostalgia Critic thing?
Yeah.
I love when they're like, why didn't Darth Vader just go down to the beach and then fight? And then he's like, hello, sand. It made my life. I was like, absolutely. It was just like all these pictures, and it's like Darth Vader hates sand. Gets in all the cracks. What?
He doesn't hate it.
Doesn't like it. It's rough and coarse and irritating.
Yeah. So I thought that was good. Also, poor form animating the dead guy as a lead character.
Yeah.
Poor form.
Don't they have to like go through? Wouldn't that have to go through his family or whatever? Like,
I don't care. He's dead. Like, they were just literally like, yeah, we actually don't need actors at all. Like, we could have just made this movie up. Actors are a thing of the past. See? We buy this guy. And then you look at him and you're like, oh my god. CGI has hit the pinnacle of its reality and nothing will ever get as good as this. And then he starts talking and you see, like, the Troll King from fucking... The Hobbit. And you're like, ooh, what's happening to your mouth? And it was just like he was
shot. Yeah, it's
like,
more when he's moving that you start to notice it.
Yeah, and so I'm like, why didn't you put him in a brief hologram? Because he needed to be there.
Yeah.
I get that. Like a brief hologram, or like when they had his reflection in the window, I was like...
Yeah, in the window it looked fine.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and it's like...
Like if they were all looking at him, you saw his reflection in the window, or if he was like in a receiving line and he was like... say one line, cool. Like animate him to make him be there.
Yeah, it definitely would. I think it definitely would have worked better if it was just like a couple scenes of him on a hologram, be like, "Hey, whatever your face."
Or even like showing up.
Why don't you go stop those rebels, idiots, or get back to work or whatever? And then like he's gone, and then like maybe we see him at the end, and he says like, "You may fire when ready again."
Yeah, fire when ready, because they have that.
They already have that line, so they can.
And you can just animate his face. I get. But I was like, he's a lead role.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Like he's a secondary character, and this guy's dead, like long dead, and I'm like, super not comfortable with people using my image after I'm dead. Like, absolutely not. And also, they could have just put a different actor in who actually needed to start his own career.
Yeah.
And loved Star Wars.
It would have been an actor to put little dots on his face so that it can make him look like Peter Cushing.
Yeah, true. It's different.
No,
I don't know actually, because I was gonna say it's different than other characters because like he would be the same age that he was. So it's not like we could cast like a younger version of him. It'd have to be someone that's the same age. But then they also cast someone as Mon Mothma, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
So she's only like a couple years younger than she would be in Jedi, right? So
yeah.
That actually kind of worked fine.
But it's like
I don't know.
Even if they just decided to have his character be more secondary, like more in the background, and cast a new person.
Right.
To be like Krennic is relatively new to us. Like we're not like
he's a big deal. He's already kind of the main villain of this story.
Like if we brought another one with that same very like Nazi-esque look, like a similar style, like all the bad guys kind of look like this.
Yeah, right.
And then
you're clearly evil.
Yeah, like you're clearly evil. Like
evil white British dudes, basically.
Yeah, you're like George Lucas would have cast you in the 70s to be one of the guys on the, and I would have sold that look. But then, that's going to bug me so much when I listen to this later. Freaking Patrick is playing with chicken with a fork in his foot. And it's loud, and you're going to hear it.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's great. We're losing him. He's going to go crazy in like half an hour.
Hey.
It's awesome.
I'm good.
But yeah, I was like...
That was very convincing.
Write a new character. Patrick, tell me what you liked about it, and then I'll disagree with you. Okay. What you liked about the movie. Give me another thing.
The Rogue One?
Yeah.
Like the...
You like the end?
Like basically... Okay, this is one thing that I think is really cool about it, is that hashtag Star Wars Rogue One is a prequel, is a thing. But think about this, is that what I really like the one, just kind of more, not necessarily the scene in general, but more what it kind of represents, which is the scene where she's like, look, I got the Scarif thing, we just need to go to the Scarif, and then everyone's like, no, we can't, it's too risky, and then they're like, let's do it anyways, and then they go, and they do the thing. What I like about what that does is that kind of shows like a transition of the boring politics of the prequel trilogy into the actually going out and doing stuff of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing to put in your in-between Star Wars movie.
For sure. You're like Star Wars 3.5.
It's like Star Wars. Like, I remember I was watching this video where the cast of Rogue One was talking about it. It's so like the interviewer's like, oh, so is this like Star Wars 3.5? And the guy who plays Krennic is like, well, it's like Star Wars 3.85.
Yeah.
Or like 3.9. Because, like, it ends about 30 seconds before episode 4 starts.
Yeah. Oh, I found another thing. I know, right? I know. That's why I keep him here. He just does cute things, and then I go, oh my god! And he just does more cute things. We're talking about my bunny.
Pretty cute bunny.
Pretty cute.
Do you want to take a picture of the bunny for the podcast?
Sure.
Little mango fed.
I'll put him into the.
I'll just do like this.
Poster. On our last podcast for Rogue One, in the like picture, I edited what's his name, Cassian. I put his face over top of the pilot guy Bodhi's face, but I just put that guy's goggles on Cassian. There's two Cassians on the poster, just one has goggles. and I was just seeing if anyone noticed.
That's hysterical. Now they're gonna notice.
Now they're gonna
you
notice.
said it. Yeah, I'll
Because
just
the
take,
first time I saw the movie, like I didn't know, like
you couldn't tell them
they
apart
couldn't tell them apart for
because
until
they
they
have
were
no
in
character.
until they were
He
in the
thinks
same
Matt
movie.
Damon looks like Mark Wahlberg.
They do look
Thank
the
you!
same. Exactly.
Oh my
They
god!
do not look the
I have
same.
never met another person in my whole life that has ever agreed with me on that.
They do not look the same.
They are.
They
They're
look very
twins.
similar.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Yeah.
They just play
It's
different.
it's so
Just because they're
easy
in
to tell
different
them
movies,
apart.
just because they're in different movies and have different roles doesn't
No,
mean
they
they
look-
don't look
they look-
similar.
They are like
No,
brothers.
Mark Wahlberg is way squintier.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
not a distinguishing
Okay,
feature.
if I walk into a room like this and then I walk into a room like this, people wouldn't be like, "Hey, you two look nothing alike." Like, they'd be like, "Hey,
No,
you guys
it's
look really
totally-
alike, but you were
Totally
squinty."
different.
No,
It's a totally different person.
there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so glad somebody else agrees with me because I have been tortured over the fact that no one gets it.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah.
also it got worse for me because in biology one day we were watching Contagion starring Matt Damon, and this guy sitting next to me was like, "Oh, I've seen this movie. It's pretty good. It's got that guy from Tenet in it. What's his name again?" It's like, "Oh, Mark Wahlberg." He's like, "Yeah, Mark Wahlberg's in this movie. It's not Mark Wahlberg. It was Matt Damon." So I'm watching the movie going, "Why does Mark Wahlberg look slightly different this time?" I'm so confused.
I'm so glad. I have been saying that my whole life, and nobody gets it. Like nobody
don't
agrees
see-
with me.
It's true,
I
though. They
can't
do
see
look
it,
similar.
though.
I'll put a picture in the thing of them next to each other
Yeah,
where they look kind of similar. And
between the pictures of
I'm sorry, yeah, but that's not a real picture.
What do you mean that's not real?
Oh, whatever. They do. They look the same.
It's true.
Okay, so we've settled
They're
it.
just white guys.
The majority.
I know all white people look the same, but like these white
But
people.
those white people specifically look almost identical.
No.
Yeah.
So you're right.
No, it's not like it's not. You people.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like Chad Smith and Will Ferrell. It's not like that level. Like
Oh, Chad, he's the
he's
drummer.
the drummer for the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Right,
And
yeah.
if I showed you a picture of him, you'd say that's Will Ferrell, right? Like,
Hey, can I?
I'm gonna find that.
I'll show you a picture. Okay, Mark Wahlberg.
No, I'm gonna find that.
Mark Damon. Matt Wahlberg.
No. This is Chad Smith of the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, you mean Will Ferrell? Jokes! I can totally tell it's Chad Smith.
You're lying. See, look, like it's ridiculous. Like that's
Yeah, they do
literally,
look similar.
it's literally Will Ferrell. Like it's not. There's no jokes here. But it's like, oh, look at that side by side. And it's like,
Here,
yeah,
look at this Mark Wahlberg. Doesn't he look
that's
more like
Matt
Matt Damon?
That is clearly Matt Damon.
It is Matt Damon. I was trying to trick you.
Darn it! Fooled
Also, it
again.
says Matt Damon at the top of it.
But I
Picture,
could
so.
tell because it's Matt Damon.
Whatever. I
I'll
see
find
it.
another one.
I understand, and that's all that
There you
matters.
go.
Okay. Here's, I think this is my last issue, aside from the fact
Sure.
that the characters didn't have any arc.
They had arcs. It was just like solved like really quickly.
Name and arc, and everybody's death was uneventful and not sad, and everybody's and it's,
K2SO's death was sad.
but he's a robot.
I know.
So
Robots are.
So the whole thing
people.
about that death is the whole thing about making death sad is either somebody watching, somebody there to be sad about it, or a flaming like victorious
Right.
death, right? And he did that, but he's a robot. Technically, he's programmed to do
True.
that,
And they could also just. Fix
and
it.
he
The
could just,
T-800 in Terminator 2 was a robot.
and that one broke my heart.
Exactly.
When the little light fizzled out of its eye.
No, Terminator 2.
Yeah.
No,
No, the first one. That one was sad.
No, it wasn't.
When
First one.
Arnold died in the first one, when the light
That's
fizzled out of
terrifying.
his
That scene is
eye.
terrifying.
Oh, so sad. He just
Okay,
wanted
Barney.
to kill John
Okay.
Connor.
Okay, Barney.
Okay, but I seriously believe his theory
No.
about Karate Kid.
Like, the
Oh,
Terminator.
I like to believe it now that
I
I've
will
seen the whole
say,
series.
I saw like a theory.
Billy Zabka. He's the Karate Kid.
Yeah, I saw a theory where they're like, no, actually, this is why like, what's his face is actually the bad guy as like the main character.
Daniel LaRusso.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're like, look, he's a bad guy. It's pretty good.
I saw the Karate Kid again recently. It's actually solid.
Yeah,
It's like
it's a
it's up
solid
there.
film.
And like the remake does not hold up at all.
I don't know. If you watch it again,
I haven't seen it recently. I just know that the thing is that I've forgotten it was a movie. That
Yeah.
That's
existed.
fair. That's true.
That happened.
Yeah, no one's gonna.
You don't forget about the old Karate Kid.
Yeah.
The only time you remember the new Karate Kid is when
You watch
back
the old Karate
you watch
Kid.
the old
They're
Karate
like,
Kid.
oh yeah, didn't they remake this with Will
Yeah.
Smith?
Yeah. Okay, but they have no character. No character arcs.
In what, the Karate Kid?
No,
no,
in
Rogue One.
in Rogue One.
Rogue One?
In Rogue One. There's no character arcs.
They do have character arcs. They're just solved like instantly.
Most people die.
Jin gives what's his name a gun in the last scene.
What arc did that solve?
He didn't want. She didn't give him a gun. in the first
K2SO? You mean the not person?
scene. He's a character.
Okay, I also have an issue
Droids
with
are
that.
people too.
Also,
Droids are people too.
I have an issue
kinda.
with that too. Because, okay, I think when it comes down to it, when it comes down to like all my nitpicking, I had an issue with the fact that Rogue One could not decide whether it was a Star Wars movie or a Star Wars anthology. It couldn't figure it out. And it starts off, no crawl, no leading image of a ship flying through space, which was devastating and crushing to me. I was hurt immediately.
I was like,
Really?
okay, really?
I was
I mean,
really sad. I was actually
It's
like,
not an episode though, so like, why
I
does it
know.
need to crawl?
I know, but I was still I felt displaced. I was like, what do I do? I'm just starting? We're just starting?
To me, that's the same as every other
Movie that's come out that's not Star Wars.
No, every other Star Wars thing that's not one of the main films, like any
Yeah.
game or book or
Anything
comic
like that.
or TV show or anything like that, because like those don't.
Those don't have crawl. But I just
So-
like in theaters, last time for me, Force Awakens, seeing that crawl
Right.
in theaters, that was the first time I'd seen a Star Wars movie in theaters.
Oh really?
Yeah, like the rest of them I just
I
waited.
saw episode 3 in theaters.
Yeah. So like
Same.
it was such a big deal for me. I sobbed hysterically when the first crawl came out because I never thought in my lifetime I'd see one again. Like
Right,
I'd see
right.
one in theaters,
Yeah.
and so like I kind of came into this movie and I was so excited, and then I was like, and then there was no crawl, and it was just like, oh, and like I got it, and then it happened, and I was like, okay, like it's an anthology, Katie. Like you have to remember, it's not an episode, it's an anthology.
Yeah.
And then they kept throwing in characters needlessly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so frustrated. Like the guy with the testicle face who fights with Han Solo in the bar.
Oh yeah, that guy.
They show him on that planet where they like run into him and he's like, "Argh!" And then the planet they're on blows up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess they left immediately after or
Yeah,
something.
and everyone's like, oh no, they just ran right when the rocket started. I was like, they had like literally 20 minutes to get out of there.
Maybe they're on their way out, right?
No,
Think about that.
they were just walking down the street.
They were on their way out, though. Then how do you get out?
You
The
shouldn't
street.
have to make excuses for a movie.
roasted.
They just shouldn't have been there. Like
yeah, we
that's
could
not
have
something you
skipped
should have to make excuses for. And then R2D2 and C3PO just randomly being on the Rebel base.
Well, yeah.
I was like, but
that.
then
Where they would have been.
what's his face is like, oh, I'll send for Leia and she'll meet us there. And I'm like,
So-
so they end up on Leia's ship.
Yeah.
To do the thing, but I'm like, why would you show them there if they have to like?
If they're just gonna get put on a ship later.
If their
Okay.
journey is going to be harder, like if there's going to be more work to get them from point A to point B, why would you put them at point A if they have to be at point B by the end? It's like they kept being like, we're Star Wars! Remember, we're Star Wars!
Remember the thing from Star Wars you like?
Yeah, and so like I was
No, but
just
it's like at least but R2D2 and C3PO weren't main characters of the film.
no, I'm super glad about that.
So
but I was like,
I think it's more like anthology is more like it's a sad story. So it's like yes, these things would have been there at the same time.
yeah.
Maybe.
I was just like, if you're gonna put them in somewhere where I'll be like, there's no possible way that couldn't have happened.
Right, okay.
You know, like those guys, every possibility is that those guys blew up. And there's no denying that. Oh, poor Patrick. He's so sleepy.
I had a rough night.
Also, yeah, you seriously did.
Yeah.
Also, okay. K2SO is not a droid.
He's just really
He's not a droid.
He's washing a droid's body.
He's watching a droid. He doesn't have a droid's personality. He doesn't have a droid's
Sure,
programming.
he's salty or C3PO.
He is salty with C-3PO, but he keeps just telling people that he's been reprogrammed, and so that's why he
That's his character.
circuits like that. But it's like, does he just like walk around thinking about what he is all the time? Because like he says whatever's on his mind, right? So is he just like, I'm reprogrammed like all the time, or is he programmed to say that he's reprogrammed? Because then he's not short circuiting because he's following his programming. And like there's this spectacular character
I think it's
in
just
there.
bad writing of exposition.
Yeah, but
Because it could be like, because she could, like, there's an easy way to solve this. Basically, she's like they get on the ship, right, and K2SO is there, and Cassian's there. She's like, why is an Imperial droid on the ship? And then Cassian's like, he's reprogrammed. It's cool.
yeah, but then they're like,
that's such an easy thing, and then he can say, and then he can be salty and funny and whatever. But it's so like, then that whole paradox is solved right there.
but then you lose
Such an easy fix.
you lose every aspect of the droid in that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Because
Like,
yeah, well, then it becomes like, well, then what does that mean exactly? Because
like they took out the part of
because all the other droids have personalities.
oh yeah,
but,
for sure.
But
they
like we've
don't
never
have-
seen them like that. We don't see it as
we
like
don't see
they're
an uninhibited personality.
Yeah.
Like
No,
there's
'cause I guess-
something
'cause
that
if
still
he's an
makes
Imperial
them
droid-
not human.
if he's an Imperial droid, that means that he would be like a battle droid, right? Where it's like each of the battle droids didn't have like a distinct personality. They were just like kill, kill, kill. Like, you're bad. I don't like you. How? You're dead.
Yeah.
Like that's how battle droids work.
yeah. So
And
but then
so it's like, was he
well, then how
reprogrammed
did
to
they
have a
give-
personality? Like,
yeah,
it's like, oh, we gave him the personality of a protocol droid. Like,
Yeah.
if they just said that, like, it's just like,
Yeah.
like that, like they could have explained it a little better.
So here I am watching this anthology saying, why did you put in the token Star Wars droid?
Yeah.
Why you did that because you wanted to be more like Star Wars?
right.
But if you'd have made him like a chummy alien pal with a personality, we wouldn't have any of these questions. You would still be an anthology, and you wouldn't have thrown in a Star Wars token and then wasted it on something you weren't actually gonna like. And he didn't move like a droid. He didn't look like any droids we'd seen. Like,
No.
if you watch him move, you don't believe it takes place before a New Hope. Because he's just like, he's too mobile to be a droid back in that day. And so I'm like,
1977.
yeah. And so I'm like, why didn't you just make him a chummy alien? Then you could have gotten out all of the creative crap that made them make the fucking tentacle guy. And actually put him to good use. Make like a sassy alien friend that Cassian met along his travels. Make it kind of like a Han and Chewie thing.
Yeah.
But that's another Star Wars trope. Though.
That is another Star Wars trope, but at least it would have made more sense.
Yeah, but
Like
here's the thing: is that if it was that instead of the droid or whatever, you wouldn't have the droid to compare it to, so you would just be having the same problem.
Well, I would just be like, hey, no, my issue is he's a droid, but he does nothing like a droid.
Yeah.
If there was an alien who didn't have to visibly be,
I know, but your initial problem was that it's too much like a Star Wars movie and not a Star Wars anthology movie. Because that's something like a Star Wars movie, it's still gonna be a problem for you.
no, my issue with K2SO is that they were like, he's a droid, but then he was like, no, I'm not. I move like this, and I want a gun, actually. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, and I have no actual programming, and I move like crazy, and I have personality, and for some reason I want to shoot people. And like, and it's just like, they were like, he's one thing to fit into this mold, but then they didn't make him that one thing that fit into the mold. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's true.
okay, so if you're going to make the quippy sidekick, either make him a droid or make him the personality that we all really love. Because if you put that in like an alien form of some kind, maybe an alien that was part of like the stories and the comic books and stuff like that we didn't get to meet in person. Like an alien that was like introduced. I think that would have been a much better use of that awesome personality and that awesome voice than being like, oh, I'm a really weirdly placed droid that doesn't make much sense. Like,
Yeah. No.
and it would have made
It's
his
true.
death so much more sad.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, he's powering down now.
Mhm.
Okay.
My phone did that before this movie started.
Yeah,
I didn't really tear up over it.
Right?
Well, see, I mean, R2's died a couple of times, I feel like.
Yeah.
But
I feel like he's
Yeah,
powered
He
down.
got shot
so-
in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. But then they just put them back together, and then it's not so
That's
sad anymore.
because Return of the Jedi is super
Because
happy.
he's a droid.
But he also dies in A New Hope.
Yeah, but he's a droid, so
Oh
it's
yeah,
not
but then he
that
gets
sad.
fixed.
Yeah, then they just get
We've
fixed
been
by it.
conditioned to not be sad about droid deaths because they just come back.
Yeah.
Like C-3PO, he gets like
He
ripped
gets
to
blown
shreds.
up in episode 5.
Yeah, and then Chewbacca just carries his pieces on his back for a bit,
Right.
and they're fine. And so, yeah, I have a problem with the fact that when they tried to be Star Wars and like nod to Star Wars, they did it in a way that didn't make sense. I'm okay with them nodding to Star Wars, and I'm okay with them being an anthology. I just wanted it to be a little more organic.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like they were like, hey, here's Testicle Face. He got out in time, though. Like, hey, here's R2 and C-3PO, but they gotta go because they need to be somewhere else, like right now. I'm like, hey, here's a droid, but he's nothing like a droid. But he looks like one, right? And they marketed that black R2-D2. Like, there's
yeah, I've seen him before.
yeah, they like marketed him in posters and stuff, like an all black Imperial R2-D2. I can't remember what it's called, like RS or Blue or whatever. But like he wasn't in the movie at all, and probably because reshoots.
Maybe in the background somewhere, or
Yeah.
it could have been reshoots or something. That sounds familiar. Or maybe it was just like, they Star Wars sells a lot of toys, so I mean they come up with a lot of like characters just for toys. So it could have just been one of those as well.
But what I can say is I was geared into that movie every time Mads Mikkelsen was on screen. I was like,
he's solid. Like,
I love him.
Have you seen Casino Royale?
No, actually, but I did see Hannibal.
Oh,
I
right.
loved Hannibal.
You gotta watch Casino Royale.
Yeah, but he like the minute it was like actually it was like the new Superman movie.
Man,
Yeah, Man of Steel. When Russell Crowe was on screen, I was like, I'm all in. I'm with you. And then he was like gone in like the first 10 minutes. And I was like,
Yeah.
this movie
No,
sucks
like
now.
that's
You're
Man
gone.
of Steel. My favorite parts of that movie is like the first 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. Except for the
I'd fight with that.
really? They punched each other with no effect for an hour, decimating a city, and then Superman was suddenly like, oh, like the thousands of people that died while we were fighting by like hitting buildings and like 9/11ing all over the place. That
Well,
one family that I can
mostly-
actually make eye contact with is gonna die, so now I can kill you.
Mostly,
And they made it so
They were
easy.
mostly evacuated.
Well,
No, they weren't.
we don't.
Okay,
the first one was not.
Look, okay. Here's my thing though. He feels bad.
He feels
He
bad.
doesn't have his neck in the stand triumphantly. Hooray! The day is saved. He goes, why did I do that?
But, like-
He's like, I am just like, he's like that. It's like when you, I'm trying to think of a good analogy for this, and I can't. But like, the point is that he's actually like,
Take that.
he's
Take
genuinely
that.
like frustrated with
That'll
himself.
show you.
Like,
Yeah, but
so I mean, like he's I think he's more frustrated with himself than the audience could ever be. Like,
oh, he's allowed to be frustrated, but I feel like he should have been like, that guy knocked down a building with like 1,000 people in it. I should kill him, and then be frustrated with himself. Not be like, I'm gonna let more people die, and then when there's like 3 people, that's gonna be enough for me.
yeah.
Like 1,000,003 is no different than like he would have been okay with that 1,000,000 dying if it hadn't have just been for that family.
Right.
Like where he decided to draw the line to kill him was a stupid place. Plus, they made it way too easy. Like that whole fight should have been like gradually weakening, like the final boss, where you have to like ba ba ba, and then you like dodge around him and you hit some
the
good spots.
multi-phase
and
boss
you watch
fights
him
of
go-
James Cameron films.
Yeah,
You gotta.
And you gotta let
this
it,
isn't
like,
even my final form.
decrease. But literally,
True.
there was,
yeah,
like,
then it could have.
an invincible boss fight, and then at the very end, he was just like, and it was it. Like he literally just like he didn't even look like he had a hard time with it, like physically. Like it was just this, and his neck was snapped. I was like,
Yeah, you think Zod would have tried that on him?
Yeah.
right? Because that was
the actual
possible.
military tactician. I mean, it
It's
makes a
one of the
really
actual
loud
weapons.
noise though. Like I feel like snapping his
Like-
neck broke the sound barrier.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm like, and it's just that movie. Its pacing was weird for me because I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so we take half an hour on a fight, and then like a split second on a death. And we take half an hour for Superman to learn his powers, and then a split second for Zod to figure his powers out. Even though they didn't have these powers on Krypton, like they were all normal on Krypton,
Right.
but they're not normal on Earth. So Zod should have been like, "Oh, this is weird," for like a second.
Yeah.
He was like, "We're good. I can fly," and you're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
I just literally wasted 45 minutes. Like Superman must be like really stupid. Like Zod, the military man of like middle intelligence, took like 30 seconds. So Superman must just be an idiot. Like he must just be like, "What is my foot? Step. Whoa, that's enough for this, man."
No, but like he's like, but that's the thing. The thing though is that like Superman's had like his parent figures be like, "Clark, you gotta keep this side of yourself a secret. You can't be a Superman." that's what he's been told his whole life, right? So he's been constantly discouraged from exploring his powers and whatnot.
But yeah, then that becomes, well, then why does he ever save anyone?
He doesn't really have a clear motive.
No, it's just like
it's because he's Superman.
Because he's supposed to be Superman, so and that's what Superman does, but we don't know why.
So the pacing in that movie, and my big thing with Superman is how DC just like kept like quietly handing him powers on like a silver platter, and then being like, whatever he imagines he can do, and you're like, what?
I feel like sometimes it's just up to lazy writing, though. It's like, we need Superman to be able to fix these walls. Well, he can just use his wall vision.
Yeah, right? And so I walked into that movie super interested.
You can shoot a tiny Superman out of his hand.
And that's like,
so it can survey an area. It's like,
that's how he knows what's just going on. He just like pallets out his tiny Supermans to go check everything for him. Like the little.
That was a real thing.
That's a real thing in the comic book.
No.
Yes.
Why?
There's a thing where Superman can shoot a tiny Superman out of his hand. There's also like this one comic where it's just the cover. It's like, check out Superman's new powers. It's just him doing this with his hands and rainbows are coming out of his fingers.
I see. Okay. So I was like
that's just the thing the comic book writers have done. It's not like.
One in the 70s are just like, let's just give him whatever powers we feel like.
Yeah.
But also it's been like over time too, because like first when Superman came out, like he was just kind of strong and fast.
Yeah, and he could jump really high.
But that was it. And then when the cartoon happened, they're like, it would be easier if we could draw him flying. Could we do that? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. And so I was interested to see the movie like explain how he went from jumping to flying.
Mm-hmm.
Like watching him like figure it out.
Right.
And I was like, I'd like to see like them explain that. Or like watch him like maybe like he could jump really tall as a kid and then puberty happened.
Right.
Because that's like the X-Men trope.
So that's the Smallville.
Smallville,
he has dreams. In Smallville, he has dreams that he's flying. He'll be like asleep and flying, and then he'll wake up and fall back to his bed.
Yeah. And so that's cool. It's kind of like a puberty like growing thing.
Yeah.
But literally in the movie, he's like, bouncy, 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 fly. Like,
up, and then away.
It's like, oh my god, guys! You had so much. Yeah, I haven't seen Batman vs Superman or anything. I was kind of like, that's enough.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
Something I think is kind of interesting is that I don't think the Man of Steel, Superman, like within the costume of Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, has never used freeze breath. So does he have freeze breath?
He has whatever he imagines.
He has whatever he wants.
Yeah,
They'll have it.
That's
If
it's
the
the
writers
magic
want
of
him
the
to
yellow
have it.
sun.
Yeah.
The yellow sun can just make anything. Watch him shoot a little Superman out of his hand. Yeah, but
it's funny that like one of Superman's secondary powers is Cyclops' only power.
Right? You're like, well, Cyclops is just a shit person, so he got the shit.
I feel like Cyclops' laser eyes are like on a different level.
Yeah, for sure. But I feel like if Superman was like, I want Cyclops eyes, he would just have Cyclops eyes.
You could just fly closer to the sun. Okay.
Also,
Hey,
how far in are we?
we're 54 minutes.
Wow, that was a long conversation. I felt like Logan took way longer, like talking about it. I feel like we got more in on Logan. Like I'm just like, Rogue One bothers me. I'm just gonna nitpick, and I'm not nearly done. Also,
Yeah.
because I have to talk about masturbatory movies. We talked about Bryan Singer in the last one. I'm going to talk about J.J. Abrams in this one.
Oh.
I fucking hated the end of Split.
That wasn't J.J.
It
Abrams.
wasn't J.J. Abrams.
No, not J.J. Abrams. I love J.J. Abrams. I'm thinking Star Wars because we were talking about
M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night fucking Shyamalan. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. What do you mean you hate the
I
end
love
of Split?
I hated the
We
end of
freaking
Split.
love the ending. Me and Dan were losing our minds.
I know.
I was hyperventilating in the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I
Danny
hated
almost
it.
stood up. He had to stop himself from standing up.
I had to stop myself from standing up and throwing something.
Why?
Okay. So, Unbreakable.
I think it was kind of like, it was like...
Do we need another podcast for me being angry at Unbreakable? I mean,
Why?
Split?
No, let's just go
do you
over
want,
on
like,
this.
Unbreakable?
I loved
keep going.
Unbreakable.
Yeah.
So, okay.
What'd you think of the rest of Split?
I loved the rest of Split.
Okay.
The entirety of that movie was really good.
Yeah.
Really good movie.
Yeah.
I loved it. It didn't have, to me, it didn't have, the monumental huge twist.
No, it didn't.
It did. I think the twist actually ended up being, the movie kind of convinced you that it's no, this personality isn't real. This beast, is actually not real. And you're like, oh, shit, the beast isn't real. And then the twist was that, kind of what they had been saying was going to happen actually happened. I felt like that's what the twist was to me, which was really cool.
Because the beast was real.
Because the beast was real, and you're like, oh, shit. And that was surprising by the end of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I liked that. I was like, that's super cool that they made the twist the thing that we thought was going to happen, and then we thought wasn't going to happen, and then actually happened. And it was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And James McAvoy
killed it.
deserves every award ever. What is it Tom said? He was like, that's not the Oscar win. That's not the movie that wins you the Oscar, but that's the role that gets you the Oscar movie.
True.
And I was like, that's exactly how you say it. If I don't see James McAvoy in an Oscar movie next year, I'm going to be super surprised. His performance this year was spectacular.
Mm-hmm. So, brilliant.
Oh, yeah. You knew who he was just by looking at his face, even if, and
just body language and...
What else is really cool is that all the scenes of him as Barry is Dennis pretending to be Barry.
Yeah. And you can tell.
Yeah.
And then when you actually see Barry as Barry, you're like, oh, my God.
Right, yeah. There's difference.
There's differences.
There, too, which is really...
Yeah.
Very multi-layered performance.
Have you guys watched Orphan Black?
No.
You must.
Okay, why didn't you like about the end of Split?
Both of you must watch Orphan Black. The only time
What
I'm
didn't
snatching
you
to
like
that
about the
part.
end of
I just have to get Orphan Black in there. It's Toronto-based. It's really
Okay,
good.
I know. What didn't you like about the end of Split?
Okay. So, you have to let me have my spiel, though.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I mean, this episode has been mostly your spiel.
Sorry. Okay. So, what I loved about Unbreakable was the parallels they drew between the two people.
Right.
How it was very, the whole theme of the movie consistently was the two ends of the spectrum.
Right.
Two completely opposite people.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson's whole center of being, and that's what makes you a villain and a hero, is you have to be the opposite.
Yeah.
And the villain's head is always bigger, and the hero's jaw is always chiseled, and they draw those parallels.
Right.
And good is one thing, and evil is the complete opposite. And Samuel L. Jackson has this really cool way of just presenting himself, and he's so smart, and he's so sneaky, and he does these evil things very quietly and very
owns every scene.
brilliantly. Yeah. It was so good.
Really makes that movie because it's. I'll admit it's kind of slow in some parts, but every second that Samuel L. Jackson's on the screen, it's amazing.
And they put so much groundwork in to their physical descriptions too.
Mm-hmm.
That moment where they're looking at it, and he's see how the villain's head is really big in proportion to his body.
Yeah.
That shows that he's smarter, whereas the hero, he's got broad shoulders and a structured jaw, and they really put down this groundwork for every hero and every villain that you're going to see. And you want to see that, and that groundwork is there, and that continuity kind of is there the whole time.
Yeah.
And then, Bruce Willis is the good guy, the pure, and Samuel L. Jackson is the not so pure who has, not inadvertently, not physically killed anyone. Like, he hasn't ever like physically done anything himself, but he masterminded a lot of death.
Conspiracy to commit.
Yeah, to get his own answers.
Murders.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Several hundred murders, not himself, but he masterminded them.
Yeah.
So, I watched that movie and I loved that movie. And then I watched Split and I loved Split. And Split was about something dark and broken, and all of those none of those physical attributes were there. None of the like unbreakable kind of physical attributes. Like, he had the small head and the broad body, and like, so I was like, this is very different. I think it was very different. There were none of the same physical attributes. There was none of the same, and she was very broken too, and she was very like, she wasn't pure, and she wasn't like, they weren't parallels, and so I was like, oh, it's cool that they're doing like a different thing with it. Like, they didn't relate to me at all, because I was like, because Unbreakable set such a high standard for what is a villain and what is a hero and how do we structure this story. And that's what made that such a good movie. And so the broken was fighting the broken because one had a good heart and one was too broken to survive, which is a great story. It was very interesting. And I loved it. And then this beast physically killed three women.
Right.
And it was like up close and personal and like to the point where he was eating them.
Yeah.
Like, it was the most up close and the most physical for him. And so they were, I think the only thing that made them relatable was that they were polar opposites as movies. And like, you look at your villains and you've got Mr. Glass, who is like physically weak, masterminded hundreds of murders without doing anything himself. And then you look at the Beast, who is physically almost impenetrable, physically up close, murdered three women. And somehow, in a diner, a lady went, hey, that guy's like that other guy from 15 years ago. Remember? What was his name? And somehow, Bruce Willis knew who she was talking about and was like, Mr. Glass. And then I'm absolutely positive they cut right before she was like, no, not that guy. That was totally different. I mean, like, the other serial killer.
I feel like that's all of it that he's been doing.
He just sits in diners waiting for people to talk about.
Oh, who was that one guy that one time? And then he just goes, Mr. Glass. Like, every time.
And every time
he's
they're
like, no, I was thinking of a woman.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of.
I admit that.
The scene is
a little hokey, although it gave me like chills and everything.
For sure, and
because like I never in a million years would I think that we'd get like an end credit scene from a movie 15 years ago.
Yeah,
it's like, this is a movie that is now connected to that universe. You know,
it's like
it
100% makes sense within that.
Such different premises and everything too.
Yeah, it does, and I don't mind that they connected them.
Yeah,
but I think they did a terrible.
You just think the scene is too hokey.
Job, and it's like there's nothing. They didn't do any work. The whole movie, they didn't do any work to make those two movies relate to each other.
Yeah,
I disagree.
On the second watch of the movie,
I only watched it once.
There's this one scene where it almost seems like really obvious when you're watching this.
Yeah.
Because there's the one scene where Dr. Karen Fletcher, she's talking with this other guy, and he's like, "Oh, we've just reduced your section of the panel. DID is now just part of this other thing. It's not its own thing." She's like, "Oh, but like it's real important and stuff." He's like, "Well, you're dumb." And then she's like, "Oh, they're really important stuff." She's like, and the guy's like, "You talk about them as if they're like these supernatural beings and stuff." And she's like, and during this sequence where she's talking about like their almost like the abilities of DID people, they have shots of her in art galleries looking at paintings and stuff, which draws parallels to Unbreakable, where they're looking at the art. The fact that the guy sells comic book art.
Yeah.
And that it's just kind of like that, like it's almost like ties into Greek mythology, and I feel like a lot of like Unbreakable like touches on that, where it's like where you think heroes come from, right?
Yeah.
But it's like
and also I was gonna say, shoot, I forgot it. Well, the one thing is Split actually doesn't work as a movie unless it takes place in the Unbreakable universe.
No, that's
because by the end of the movie, he's like climbing on walls and like knife proof and bulletproof and stuff like that, which is like no human could do that, right? And so you have to accept that it's now in a heightened reality where people like this,
David Dunn exists,
where people that are more than human do exist, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing was in Unbreakable, they say that there's always two kinds of villains. There's the one the hero fights with his hands and the one that he fights with his mind. Mr. Glass is the one he fights with his mind, and so now we have the Beast, the guy that is going to have to fight with his hands.
Well, he also fights the Man Orange with his hands.
Yeah, he fights other guys with his hands too. But I mean, like that's
so
there's not just the one villain. Like that's just his arch nemesis.
Yeah.
He's going to have other villains.
I don't like how
career.
hard they have. Like we have to fight to make those connections. I'm kind of like I loved the formula of Unbreakable.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we were gonna do like more to add on to that universe and like nod back to Unbreakable, I would want, and maybe it's just me, but I want that formula. Like I want that the way they did that because it was so beautiful, and I think it kind of takes away.
There's like a sequel to like an official sequel to Split and Unbreakable, where you have James McAvoy's character and Bruce Willis's character, you want to be in the formula of Unbreakable. I
would want Split to be in the formula of Unbreakable if they were going to make it like Unbreakable.
Yeah.
Because Unbreakable like set the standard and it was so good, and like you kind of knew the whole time, but you didn't actually know. And I guess Split just should have been separate. And I swear to God, all I see is fucking M. Night Shyamalan in the back when Bruce Willis says Mr. Glass, like, ha 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 ha, I'm relevant. And I'm just like, dude, why?
No, it's
like I look at like a movie.
I look at it, it's definitely like, oh, superhero movies are back, and you got to do like an end credit scene and tie them into all the universes.
Yeah.
I did a superhero movie a while ago. I can still do that.
Yeah, like at the end of it, he's like, "Woo, I just did that."
Yeah, right. And he's like, "Hey guys, that's me." And it's like, and I love that. Like, Split,
I can be Marvel too.
And that's what he's doing, and I'm so angry. And it's like.
Yo, Split's way better than like any of.
Split was super good.
Than like his past 3 movies. So I mean, like, or I guess I don't know. What was the Visit?
The Visit was pretty good actually.
I heard The Visit was good. Tom liked it.
But yeah, like the ones before that, they were pretty trash.
Yeah, and so, but like I feel like Split could have just. I would have really liked it if fans were like, I feel like it's in the same universe as Unbreakable.
If it was a
fan theory, and then. One day, M. Night Shyamalan made like an actual sequel to Unbreakable, where it was actually that formula and where it was actually the thing, and then he mentioned the Beast, and you're like, shit, it's the same universe. No way, that would be crazy.
No, but I don't know. I feel like it's better when you're just watching this like pretty self-contained movie that's mostly in like one location, like small budget and everything. Sounds like it.
Hello, friends.
Hi. Hello.
We were just with your friends. Oh, hi, other friends.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Oh, look at all the friends. We were just playing. How's it going? Weren't you guys with John today?
Yeah, we were. We filmed the thing with him earlier today. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Sorry, you can move him and sit down, or you can put him on your lap and sit down. It's all well. Oh, they're in our podcast now.
Yeah, I guess they're in the podcast.
It's good, yeah.
Welcome to Nothing Cast.
Sorry. No,
it's all good. We were wrapping up. We're talking for too long.
Yeah. This one's a little over as it is.
Yeah.
Hey, you know how I argue.
Yeah. Do we want to end the
Yeah. Bye.
Goodbye.